The Second World War was fought on land, in the air, and across oceans. But one battlefield remained invisible to the public eye. A silent arena where steel monsters stalked each other beneath crushing pressure, and where the difference between life and death was measured in meters, minutes, or miscalculations. This is the story of the Atlantic struggle that shaped the fate of nations, told through one mission, one submarine, and one catastrophic mistake that changed the outcome of an entire convoy battle. In early 1943, the Atlantic was the most contested waterway on Earth. Britain relied on supplies from the United States: food, fuel, ammunition, raw materials. Without those convoys, the island nation would collapse. Germany's U-boats understood this reality well. Their mission was simple: strangle Britain's lifelines by sinking every ship that attempted the crossing. U-564, a Type 56 submarine commanded by Kapitän-Leutnant Otto Brenner, left the port of Brest in March of that year. Brenner was experienced, confident, and highly respected within the U-boat arm. His record was impressive: multiple successful patrols, dozens of merchant ships sunk, and a crew loyal to him without hesitation. But Brenner also carried a flaw that would haunt this mission. He believed he understood the enemy more than he actually did. The Allies had begun using new tactics: long-range aircraft, improved radar, escort carriers, and cryptographic breakthroughs that allowed them to track U-boat movements. Brenner knew the enemy was adapting, but he believed that skill and aggression could overcome technological disadvantages, a belief that made him bold and careless. U-564 moved silently into the mid-Atlantic Gap, a region long considered the Black Pit, where no Allied aircraft could reach. The location gave German submarines freedom to attack convoys with little fear of retaliation. Brenner's orders were clear: locate convoy HX-229, coordinate with other U-boats, and strike with overwhelming force. The first contact came 2 days later. A lookout spotted smokestacks on the horizon. Brenner ordered a periscope depth approach. Through the fog and steady swell, he counted the silhouettes: over 40 merchant ships, escorted by destroyers and corvettes. A high-value target, the perfect opportunity. He planned to shadow the convoy until nightfall. Darkness favored U-boats. The convoy's escort vessels relied on ASTIC sonar, but sonar had blind spots, especially during surface attacks. Brenner's submarine would wait, then close in with torpedoes. But Brenner didn't know the Allies had begun using a new invention aboard select escorts: HF-DF, or high-frequency direction finding. It could triangulate radio transmissions from U-boats. When Brenner reported the convoy's position to Admiral Dönitz, HF-DF stations along the escort screen picked up the signal. The Allies now knew a Wolfpack attack was imminent. Night fell. U-564 surfaced, engines rumbling low, cutting a dark silhouette against the ocean. Other U-boats converged. What followed was chaos. A running battle across heaving waves, streaked with tracer fire, explosions, and the white trails of torpedoes. Brenner fired 4 torpedoes, hitting 2 merchant ships. Flames erupted into the sky. Men jumped into the freezing water. The convoy weaved and maneuvered. Escorts charged toward radar contacts, launching depth charges that boomed through the sea like thunder. Yet, Brenner wasn't satisfied. He wanted more kills, more victories, more proof that the U-boat arm remained dominant. So when the convoy appeared to scatter and the escorts pursued another submarine, he saw an opening and overplayed his hand. At dawn, Brenner attempted a risky maneuver, closing within 800 meters of the convoy's rear ships while still surfaced. It was bold, and under early war conditions it may have worked. But 1943 was not early war. The British corvette HMS Godetia, equipped with improved radar, detected a surface contact almost instantly. The radar officer assumed it was a U-boat attempting to retreat. But when the return signal strengthened, the captain realized the truth. It was approaching, not fleeing. Brenner saw the corvette's change in heading too late. A minute later, Godisha opened fire. Shells splashed dangerously close. Brenner crash-dived, but the delay put him in a deadly position. The destroyer HMS Harvester joined the pursuit. Sonar pings echoed through the submarine, eerie and rhythmic, the sound of death searching for steel. Brenner ordered silent running. Engines quieted, pumps slowed. Inside the submarine, the temperature rose. Sweat dripped from the crew's brows. Every man listened to the sonar pings, each one louder than the last. The first depth charge pattern hit the water. Explosions rumbled above. Bolts shook. Light bulbs burst. But U-564 survived. Then Brenner made the second mistake of the patrol. He turned too sharply while trying to evade, causing the submarine to cross directly into the predicted track of the destroyer. The sonar officer aboard Harvester instantly recognized the maneuver. The destroyer dropped another full spread of charges, this time perfectly calibrated. The explosions lifted the submarine as if a giant hand were pushing it up from below. Pipes burst, water sprayed from cracked joints, the lights flickered. Inside the control room, Brenner tried to stabilize depth, but the ballast tanks were taking water. The submarine began descending faster than intended. The hull creaked and groaned as pressure increased. He ordered emergency blow. Compressed air blasted into the tanks. For a moment, the descent slowed. But then the submarine lurched. A catastrophic leak in the forward section meant buoyancy was no longer reliable. The destroyer circled above. The sonar operator reported the U-boat rising. The captain gave the order, "Prepare for ramming." The crew felt the impact. The destroyer's hull scraped across the submarine's bow, crushing outer plating. Alarms blared. Brenner had no choice. He ordered the submarine to surface, one of the most dangerous commands in U-boat warfare. As U-564 broke through the waves, machine guns immediately opened fire. Brenner shouted for the crew to abandon ship. The deck became a slaughterhouse of bullets and splinters. Some men leaped into the freezing Atlantic. Others never made it over the railing. Harvester maneuvered again, preparing to finish the kill. Then came the twist that changed the narrative of the entire battle. A British aircraft, a Sunderland flying boat, appeared overhead, part of the Allies' new long-range patrol strategy closing the mid-Atlantic gap. The aircraft dropped depth charges around the serviced submarine. One detonated beneath the keel. The explosion ripped through the hull. Compartments flooded instantly. U-564 began sinking stern first, slipping beneath the waves that had been its hunting ground for years. Most of the crew perished. A handful survived long enough to be rescued and taken prisoner. Otto Brenner did not. His body was never recovered. The loss of U-564 was not just another submarine sunk. It represented something far larger, the collapse of the U-boat Happy Times. The Atlantic was no longer a battlefield Germany controlled through stealth. Now, it was a place where Allied aircraft, escorts, radar, sonar, and intelligence worked in ruthless coordination. The Allies studied every captured logbook, every survivor's testimony, every report from the convoy battle. They realized something crucial. U-boat commanders were still fighting the war as it existed in 1941, not 1943. They underestimated Allied detection. They misread new convoy tactics. And they believed aggression alone could overpower technology. But the ocean had changed. The hunters had become the hunted. The sinking of U-564 became part of a larger trend. By mid-1943, U-boat losses skyrocketed. German submarine crews realized that surfacing even for a moment could mean instant death from the sky. Convoys grew more protected. Sonar improved. Escort carriers roamed the Atlantic. The sea that once favored stealth now favored detection. Germany had entered a technological race it could no longer win. U-564's last patrol became a case study in naval academies after the war, an example of how overconfidence, adaptation failure, and misreading the enemy's evolution can turn a seasoned commander into a doomed one. Brenner's brilliant early war record meant nothing in the new conditions. His experience blinded him, not guided him. The crew members who survived gave interviews years later. Some spoke about Brenner's leadership, others about their fear during the attack. One sailor admitted that, even before the convoy battle, the crew felt the ocean had become hostile to them in ways they didn't understand. They sensed the shift before Brenner did. In the end, U-564 became a symbol, not of German naval strength, but of its decline. A submarine designed to destroy convoys had been destroyed by the very system it once outsmarted. And that loss echoed through the U-boat fleet, crushing morale as sailors realized the era of easy victories was gone forever. The Atlantic War would continue, brutal and unforgiving. But from that point onward, the tide was no longer with the hunters. It was with the hunted who learned to fight back.